Hello and welcome to the Impact Zone podcast. We are back once more again talking TNA wrestling shenanigans. And I guess we're here to have the first look at Sacrifice. Now, finally, they have announced some matches. Now, as we sort of talked about a little while back, it did feel like they had announced some things, or not announced some things. They had, words. They had a distinct path for a couple of different matchups, like Cora versus Marsha, which has now been announced. So I will get to what I think of the matches in a second. I'm not going to question that just right now. We will get to it in just a second. And then, the Rascals plus Ace Austin versus Wesley and his goons. I still don't know what to call these guys, Tyreek and Tyvar or whatever the bloody names are. So, yeah. That was another match that has been teased for a while that, we now know is going to happen. So, we are now on the path. There are still a few matches that are kind of teased for the upcoming Sacrifice show. So we will have to keep our ears and our eyes and everything, ready to see what is going on there and what is happening there and that sort of thing. So, and we do have to look at, the upcoming shows and see what what we've got, because like 2 matches and neither of them are the world title match. So it's like, obviously Joe Hendry's going to be at this show and defending his title. It becomes the question of whom against, and it really feels like it's like really up in the air. It like really feels like to me, like there is no plan for a world title match at this show at the current point. Because there is no clear person that Hendry is going up against. So it's like, well, you can't extrapolate to say this person has been in his face every week, blah, 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 or whatever it is. So there's got to be something there, in that. There's got to be more in it, than just that. And like next week, like I don't know how many times the Hardys and the System are going to wrestle each other, but it's like these guys have been wrestling each other like since last year. So it's like they've been wrestling over a year at this point. It's like crazy. Now the roles are kind of reversed in the sense because now the Hardys are the champions and the System are the challengers. So in a sense, they're the challengers, but whatever. The Hardys have the titles. Okay? Clearly. So, we've got to look at the upcoming shows. Now, they actually did just announce some more shows upcoming for Irvine, California in the early May. 1st of May will be a live show. 2nd of May, a TV taping. So they've got yet more live shows, which is good. Again, when we said that, this is pretty good. Or is this in the California? I actually said something was in Canada. Was this in Canada? Am I stupid? No, California. I think it was the later taping, maybe. I think we already discussed that. Bampton, Ontario. That was the show. There we go. So that was another set of tapings that has been announced for. Sure. Let's see. No, this is the right thing. It hasn't actually come up with it here. I'm sure I can find it though. Let's see if I can indeed find it. It's a bit of a nuisance. Let's see. Finding the thing, looking. Alright, where are we? So, right, here we go. This is the one that I kind of wanted to look at. The upcoming card for next week. Now, again, they could have done another set of tapings, I guess, because when is Sacrifice? Sorry, or not? Yeah, Sacrifice. Let's see. Sorry, because I've already forgotten. 14th of March, and they haven't got anything scheduled between now and 14th of March. So let's have a look at the old calendar. Where we're at. We're at the 21st. So, yeah, we've got next week, which is obvious, which is this week I'm about to talk about. So, then 1, 2, 3, which is the 21st. Or the just before the 21st. Is that right? Whoops. Where are we? Help. Why did I do this? Why did I get rid of that? No, 14th. Not 21st. Why was I thinking 21st? Whatever. All right, so where was I? So this week that's upcoming, then the 7th, then the 14th. So that's, like 2 weeks. That's not too bad, actually. So maybe that's probably where we're at. We're probably looking at 2 more episodes of TNA Impact after this that build up to the show. So that means in the next 3 episodes, they have to get their main event title match sorted, their tag team title match sorted, the digital media title match sorted. It does seem like they've got the tag team titles sort of coming together, or the Knockouts tag team titles coming together. Though I'm not too sure whether they're, it did seem like they were saying, well, we're going to wrestle you, next week or whatever it is. It didn't, I think that was from commentary. I don't know. But again, it doesn't feel like that makes that much sense. You should just, say, let's do it at the pay-per-view, whatever. That makes more sense to me, but whatever. So, Kazarian versus Austin, this is, there's nothing in this that doesn't really matter. Who's winning that or where that's going. We just know that probably Frankie's kind of winning, in my opinion, so that he can, probably stay in that upper main card to feel like, oh, yes, I'm going to, take the world title at one of these points, maybe, who knows. Mace Warner and Sami Callihan, and I feel like this match is probably going to end in DQ or some shenanigans of some sort. It can't end here. It doesn't make any sense. So you might as well, make it a hardcore match and make it proper and make it, work and get to that point. Tessa Blanchard versus unnamed wrestler. It could be somebody from NXT. I highly doubt it. It'd probably be some local jobber. So it really doesn't matter. But it does feel like she needs an opponent for Sacrifice. You cannot keep somebody like this, just wrestling random people or whatever else it is. You need to give them quality opponents. And it does feel like you're starting to build towards Marsha and Tessa, so I don't know. But again, that does need to be held off as long as you can, but you also need to give them both things to do in the meantime, not just say, oh, well, we don't know what to do with you. Then the big match. I think we've talked about a bit about this. Obafemi and the Hardys versus the System. So that's a crazy match. That involves the tag team champions and the X Division champion. Like, we've seen Jeff Hardy's pinned Moose twice thus far. That, in my opinion, that to an extent, that has to be going somewhere at this point. Like, if you're not going somewhere at this point with that, it's like, well, what are you doing? But then again, it's like, well, why are you doing that? Because it's like, you need to have the Hardys as a tag team wrestling for the titles. But then it's like, well, now you're wrestling a team. Again, we've already talked about this, at like these guys wrestling to get against each other ad nauseum. So it's like, well, why are we going to see these guys wrestle again? Like, what's the point? Like, so it does feel like maybe they will not have a tag team match, which is really crazy, you know. But I like, we've kind of talked about CM Fraxium and the Hardys. I would kind of like to see that, but it's one of those things. Like, it does feel like you've already started planting these seeds, like, with Hardy beating Moose. Like, come on, like, I feel like, again, it's sort of like, come on, they've got to be giving Moose something to work with, to help, continue his reign until the point that they're, going to decide, okay, this is the point, you've got to put this young kid over at some point, or whoever else it is. I feel like it is Slater, honestly, but that is me. But I also kind of feel like Moose, his run in TNA isn't done until he becomes like Grand Slam champion. So I kind of want to see him win them tag team titles at some point down the road, as well. So I don't know. But like, just trying to read between the lines of Spitfire versus the Elegance duo, it feels like it's like, well, is that happening here? It was announced as a match or something that was going to happen. But it's like, well, when's that happening? Where's that happening? Like, it wasn't really clear. Maybe it's next week or the week after this week that have just announced. I don't know. Or maybe it's a match that's happening on this card. I don't know, but it's just not promoted here and I can't find it. So it is one of those things of, well, we can wait and see. But at a certain point, it's like, well, we should just, like, know. Like, and again, like, we were talking about this before in, like, how long do you have to promote something? Like, again, like, without, like, it's crazy to think, like, I think, was looking, and Sacrifice is almost sold out without any matches having been announced, which is crazy, like, completely crazy. But it's crazy that they're doing so well in that regard of selling tickets, because there's, like, and this is before these matches were announced. It's like, okay, that doesn't make much sense. Like, you should really have, like, things to announce for people to be like, oh shit, yeah, I've got to go see this. I've got to go see Joe Henry versus whomever or whatever else it is. I've got to see Mace Warner and Sami Callihan rip each other apart. Absolutely. Like, and it does feel like some of the things that are there, it does feel like there are some rivalries that are kind of brewing as well, but it's like, you've already kind of pulled the trigger kind of thing with some of it, like Rosemary and Leland Lee. So it's like, well, what's to gain from, like, continuing it kind of thing? I don't know. So I don't know. It's tough. And then it feels like, what are you doing with First Class? What are you doing with Eric Young and with Macklin? It does feel like that could be a match or a feud that is going to occur. Like, what's happening with Santana and Ali? Like, are they going to fight soon, or is that going to be held off? type thing. You've got to think that it will happen at some point, obviously, but again, like when, where, how, why, etc. It's fine to sort of see these things pan out or whatever, but it's like, well, you know, when you feel like, oh man, like this is like thing between Cora and Marsha has been brewing for a while, and it is very much like, well, you could have announced this like weeks ago, but then again, it's like, well, maybe they didn't know. Hey, we're going to get Cora and she's actually going to turn up, or whatever else it is, or WWE's letting her turn up for this, or whatever else it is. So again, that does hurt some of these things. That's why you have to not question, but you have to sort of look at the relationship and say, oh, well, now WWE is suddenly interested in using Cora or whatever it is. It's like, well, like you kind of promised her trust. Like, now she's got to kind of try to meet both, dates, both agreements, whatever, commitments, etc., whatever, that sort of thing. So you're, like, and that's not bad to an extent, but again, like, it's like, well, suddenly I'm in this place one week and now I've got to be in that place, in a few days. It's like, I don't know where WWE is and where they're touring or where an NXT is, what they're doing or whatever, but I'm sure they're not like next door to each other all the friggin' time, so clearly that she has to travel for these shows with TNA, and clearly she has to travel back for the shows with NXT. It is good that there are a few days apart or whatever else it is, and I do think that they do tape some of their shows too from something somebody said, but still, it is one of those things that's like, well, they have their live shows or whatever it is too, but still, like, it does feel like very much like, oof, that's a lot of work, and like in a sense, like, and then you've got to do everything else. Like, that's the life of a wrestler, though, I guess. But again, you're always toing and froing and hearing and thereing and whatever else. So, but yeah, no, it like, I am interested in what's going down with some of these things, but like, it is interesting to think, well, what could Henry be doing, or who could he be like wrestling against? But it really feels like there isn't much of a plan. Maybe he could be facing Oba. Maybe, like, I don't know, like, that doesn't make much sense to me. But then again, you could be like, well, instead of Jeff getting the pin, Oba gets the pin, and then, like, you set up Oba and Moose that way. I don't know, that it doesn't fit with what's kind of happened, but it would kind of be a way to do it, and it would be a place to do it that doesn't interfere with everything else that Oba's kind of doing in WWE. It just gives him something else to do, or someone else to face and whatnot, so, but yeah. Guys, I think that's pretty much it, though. We've got to keep our eyes on this, because I'm sure next week they're going to put some more stuff up and officially announce some more things. Some of these things that I might have talked about here or there or whatever else it is. But it does seem like Oba and Moose are going to happen, but it's like, well, the situations in which that happens, like, type thing, like when and where and how and why and whatnot, like, that doesn't seem to be so set in stone. The Hardys, like, it is tough again to feel like, well, who are they going to face? Because it can't just face the system for the 1,000th fucking time or whatever it is. Like, they need somebody to face, and are the Colognes sticking around? Don't know. Like, and even if they are sticking around, well, they're just here now, and it's like, well, doesn't make much sense. So it's like, maybe Fraxium, I don't know, again. But, yeah, it's a difficult set of circumstances to find yourself in when it's like some more of your more major things are like yeah, we don't know really where this is going. But then again, if you're having Moose on on the sacrifice against Ober, like it's like, well, is there any titles on the line? Like, why would you put the title on the line against him and that, like, for him to take it? It's like, you shouldn't do that. Like, that is the problem when you're having title matches with some of these things, and it's like, well, yeah. And again, like we've said before, like maybe it'll end in Shimaz, like nearly all the matches have ended in Shimaz or whatever else, and shenanigans or whatever else it is, but no one's lost a belt or whatever it is. So, but still, we will find out at some point, hopefully in the next few weeks. But anyway, guys, hope you've enjoyed and hope you'll join me in again in another one.